Hey guys, Mike here. So, oh boy, what a day for tech. And there was a couple things that got it going. One was actually kind of a sell the news event, which was kind of surprising, even though it got it going in pre-market and just rug pulled on people that were going heavy into it. And then the other one was kind of unexpected, more of a partnership between two of the biggest companies in the world. And so, we'll get into all those plus a few other things. But I will say this, are you surprised when you hear, because all I ever see on TV or anywhere else is, we need to drill more, all this other stuff. And then when I look here, I'm like, wait a minute. This right here says the U.S. is now producing more oil than any other country out there. And you can see this chart here. And we scroll down, this goes all the way back to 1920. I know everywhere I look, it says we've issued more drilling permits than like we have in years. And so it's surprising to see that. I think some people are just kind of stunned to go, wait a minute, well, prices are still really high. How are we producing that much? And we're still importing a whole lot, right? And, as far as the stock market is concerned, when you look at these oil stocks, like we talked about, there's XLE, but you can see all these oil stocks are starting to come into major trend lines, right? That's been rejected before. So we're either going to have a major breakout in a lot of these stocks, or we're going to obviously have a hardcore rejection, okay? So I don't think it's a surprise that XLE and all these stocks are coming into these different resistance lines and things like that at the same time. So going to be an interesting next couple of weeks. Let me know in the bottom what you think on that and what you think about, are you surprised to know that we are the biggest producer of oil, right? I mean, it's just stunning to me to see that. Now, you can see how the morning kicked off in pre-market. The NASDAQ's up over 1% even starting out, right? Just blowing it out. What do they do? Here they come. Oh, Nvidia price upgrades. Boom, from 880 to 1050, 911 to 1177. Oh, yeah. Here comes the call sweeps. Millions of dollars worth from the 880 to 915, all sitting there for March. Here comes the sweeps just flooding in. These people were underwater all day, by the way, because, it was up, gapped up, and then immediately went, see you later, which is what's supposed to happen. That is normal for these kind of events to take place. We've seen the rug pull many times on Tesla, on Google, Apple events. And so that is absolutely normal to happen. There's nothing abnormal about it. But understand what you're seeing with Nvidia right now. It's this range, right? Here's the top of the range. You've seen over going back, basically since March 7th forward here over the last week or two. And so when you look, there's the top. And then really the bottom, we can draw one in down here as well. And so you're in this range anywhere from like 867 to 927. So it keeps bouncing, then getting rejected. And so again, this is consolidation, right? Going across the side here. Are we going to break down? So we got to figure out if we do, obviously we got that level down below right there. But that's all you're seeing right now, okay? Which is, it's really not a bad thing at all, especially if you're an Nvidia holder and stuff. So again, we'll draw this out here, and so we'll watch that range right there, but that's what you're seeing. It's just kind of range bound right now, which Nvidia has done. That's actually not a bad thing, consolidate. You saw this from Microsoft, right? And so then it ended up breaking out to the higher side. And I know Nvidia is way more overstretched than what Microsoft is. And of course, you look at this chart, you can see, bearish MACD cross. Looks like maybe some momentum's finally starting to wane here. But again, how many times have we seen it? And then it ends up popping up, right? So we'll see how this goes tomorrow. And on the SMCI, you saw another sell the news event as well, right? It ends up coming on the S&P today. It finally made it. And it popped in the morning and then went, shoop, see you later. MACD looks identical. Obviously, you can see the RSI right there. But again, this is one of those low float stocks. Now it's coming on the S&P. And normally you see, because in pre-market this was up about 4 or 5, I think it went total 6% before it sold off. But normally you see what, when it comes to S&P, these stocks will go up, right? Because all of a sudden a lot more people know the names now. It's on the S&P, the big daddy of them all, right? So people will start buying. This happened to ON Semiconductor was another one. There's many others and stuff like that. I'm putting together a video right now about that. What happens when you come onto the S&P. Gives you a lot more exposure. So we'll see if it closes that gap right there. I was hoping it was going to close the whole thing today, but it only closed about half of it before it ended up getting a bounce and stuff. And so we'll see if this one picks back up steam or not. Now, another surprising thing that happened today, which is what drove tech even higher, was this right here. And guys, before we continue, please hit that like button. It really helps people find the video. And think about subscribing if you like a finance channel who does not try to talk over your head. And that was this right here. Apple's in talks to let Google Gemini power the iPhone AI feature. So AI pump, right? And then, of course, Google takes off. I think the high was up almost like 8% today or something like that. Before it started to finally come back down, did not reach the previous all-time high, but came very close. And this has been on a roll over here over the last probably 8 days and stuff. So again, I think the announcement was kind of surprising. I don't see anything finalized on this, but just the fact that there's an AI talk between Google and Apple, right? And so Apple's been trying to, again, they haven't had their AI pumps. They're trying to really get on board with this and start getting some of this AI money and all that good stuff. So we'll see if this ever comes to fruition and they actually finalize this. But again, buy the rumor, sell the news, right? So right now we're buying the rumor right now, or at least what they're saying is happening. I don't think either one of them actually commented on this. But again, you got this gap right here now. Obviously, there's all-time highs right there. But when you look at Google's chart, I mean, obviously there's a lot of gaps, and it don't mean it's got to fill. Gap ups don't feel as much as gap downs, right? Look at all these gap ups and that run up. How do they feel? They end up making a major drop, and that's how they feel, right? And so then you had the big downtrend right here from January into March, and then a lot of gaps going back up. And so, it doesn't mean this big gap has to fill at all. Again, there's previous all-time highs right there. There's the new all-time highs. We're just looking to try to reach the new all-time high at this point in time. And so that's only like 3% away if it continues to, be a strong name right now. And again, this is an AI play. This is one reason you're seeing that. You see that long term right there. It's a weekly uptrend, okay? Had a daily downtrend. Now we're back into an hourly uptrend right here, or a daily uptrend actually when you look at it. And so we'll see if this one continues. Remember, they sold this one down while the others were running up. Then they flipped back and started rotating this one back up once they hit that trend line. So that trend line is definitely powerful for Google, so keep an eye on it. And of course, Apple, it was up a couple percent, not as much as Google because they'll be the ones paying out the money, but hopefully they're hoping to get some revenue, right? Bullish MACD cross right here. Normally when you get a MACD cross on the bullish side for Apple, you do get 2 or 3 days of continuation, if not more. So we'll see if this continues or not. As we kind of draw this up and you can see what I'm talking about. Still well below its moving averages. Really watch that 178 level to get above. That's going to be key right there. For sure, but you can just look at all the bullish MACD crosses before this, and if they ever start really rolling out AI plays, you can imagine, of course, Apple would move up. So, again, people are buying off the bottom around that 168 area. We'll see if this momentum continues for it. And then we look over here at Tesla. They had a big day today, right? And this was the perfect balance because when you look back here going to 2020, multiple bounces off this area, which used to be resistance, by the way. Only fell below it once since 2020, and that's when it capitulated down to that major trend line right there and got almost to $100. Besides that, it usually bounces right around this area. So far we got the bounce, whether it's a relief bounce, oversold bounce we talked about. But you can see on the chart right here, I mean, oversold like we talked about. The MACD is trying to curl up. It got above back in that trend line, back in that descending channel right there. And of course, 174, 175 is definitely hardcore resistance at this point in time. We'll see if it can get through that. If it can, this obviously can continue. But 174, 175 has been kind of a trip hammer for this thing. Really hard resistance at this point in time. So we'll see what happens. But it was a big day for it. I didn't really see any alerts for call sweeps or anything. I'm assuming that's what was happening. Again, I don't subscribe to a thing like that. I just get the free alerts and stuff sometimes. And I didn't see it. So let me know in the comments if you did see it. Decent volume. And so you can see, I mean, if it can get the bullish MACD cross fully, start moving up, change momentum, it could happen. You've seen, that's what you saw in Google. That's what you saw in Apple right now currently. And so we'll see if they finally start giving Tesla some love right here. And of course, at first, it was really surprising it did this on a downgrade. Goldman Sachs reduced the price from 220 to 190, and it still powered through for this day. So that was actually kind of interesting to see that because the other downgrades have just crushed it. Now, Amazon's one to watch here because this one right here has been consolidating since February 23rd. You can see just sitting in this small little range right here. You can see right down below it did kind of the same thing, but this is sitting in a very little tight percentage range right here with 174.92 really being right in the middle there. You see it's about 4.35%, which is not a bad thing. If you're a long-term holder, it's still staying in this channel, but if it keeps going sideways, it's going to break down out of this channel or get a bounce, right? And it's kind of been here since November. So, that's going to be interesting. Plus, I mean, when something consolidates sideways, it's building out support, right? So if it does move up, it should have support below if it doesn't break down from here. And so that's something to watch. If it does break down, obviously that will become resistance. So just watch this one. Hadn't seen a lot of news on it. I know, people are talking about when it comes to IV and stuff, it's really low on Amazon and stuff. There just hadn't been a lot going on. And so this one kind of needs something here. Again, would you like to see that gap get filled? Sure, that'd be nice. That'd be a nice bounce point for sure, set up the rest of the year. But we'll see what happens here. I mean, Amazon really has never been a big mover, just happened to have that earnings call, which is gapped up way up. And so we'll see how this one goes. Now, PayPal, Again, setting in that shaded area we talked about, did make it above that 64.20-ish area, but again, it's an area, not an exact price point. So it needs to get above this area right here. You can see the MACD is above the 0 line. The RSI is looking good. It's not overbought or anything. So momentum is swinging to the upside right there. And so we'll see if it can break through that area. And when we pull up the volume profile, you can see why. Because above that area right there, it'll go into a volume gap, get to around 66. You can get above that area, then we go into the big gap, and it'll get around 72. So that's what everybody's looking for on this one. Now, to keep things in context, what happened to the S&P today, what continues to happen, trading in the sideways range, right? Still in that range we talked about on Sunday. And then also trading in this channel, right? Because we were not setting a new higher high or anything. We also did not set a new lower day or anything. And so again, weekly trend is up. Daily trend is basically sideways. Hourly trend you can really look at and kind of go, it's kind of in a downward sloping type channel, whatever. But still, we're still okay. There's nothing major happening here as far as, we're going to fall off a cliff right here. And especially, I keep saying, as long as those Mag 7, Mag 6, Mag 5, whatever you want to call it, as long as they're holding up, it's going to be really hard to get a big move down at all, okay? Now, when it comes to earnings, XP is about the only one to really look at tomorrow. A lot of these others, most people aren't going to know anyway. And then when it comes to economic data, you're going to have a lot of stuff about the housing industry, housing permits and stuff, and then a 20-year bond auction at 1 o'clock. But besides that, there is no news. So if we gap up, a lot of times you're just going to stay in a range or whatever. There's nothing to really drive it. But that 20-year bond auction, I'll almost bet money probably is going to cause some kind of either drop in yields, spike in yields, which means you'll get some kind of volatility. But we don't get real news until Wednesday. Okay, so that's really the one thing to look at. And of course, the Nvidia conference will continue to go on. I believe the real CEO is actually talking after hours, and so you might see a spike in after hours, and they start rolling out new stuff and new chips, and here's what they're going to do, and all that good stuff. So we'll have to see anyway. So again, let me know what you think is going to happen tomorrow. Like I said, normally for most companies, it's going to be a sell the news event, which it was, but you could see a spike and then a rug pull again, and so that's what's creating a lot of volatility on this one. We'll see if SMCI recovers, being on the S&P now. So see if that's get a pump or not. So anyway, let me know how your day went. Let me know where you think we're going this week and next couple weeks. If you want to predict that as well, please hit that like and subscribe button on your way out. Appreciate all you guys who watch and join the membership and stuff. And I will see you tomorrow.